Hey everyone, I'm THPine and welcome to Mind Machine Interface. What is Mind Machine Interface, you ask? I like to call it a moving counters programming puzzle game. It is on Steam Greenlight, there's a free demo available, link is in the description below, and this is what it looks like. So this game is about creating graphical output. You have a screen of graphical input over here, 640 pixels with 4 different colors, and the goal is to transform this input to the graphical output screen down here, also 640 pixels with 4 different colors, following certain rules depending on the level. In the first level, the rules are very simple because you don't care for the input at all. The goal is just to fill the whole output screen with white pixels. So how do you do that? Well, you have to write a program using the board over here. And every program has an entry point, which is the red square, and an exit point, which is the white square. And basically, when you start a program by pressing the spacebar, the program will spawn a counter on the entry point, which you can see here. And the counter has a value and a color, in this case 0 and white. And you can adjust the value and the color of the counter, and you can move the counter around. So when you make the counter go to the exit point of the program, it will paint a pixel on the output screen. And the pixel painted depends on the value of the counter. So if the counter has the value 216, it will paint this pixel. And the color of the pixel depends on, you guessed it, the color of the counter. So let's make an easy or a simple example. You move the counter by using white arrows. You can create them by holding the mouse over an edge of one of the tiles and pressing the 1 key on your keyboard, the number 1. Or you can hold 1 and move the mouse like this to create multiple arrows at once. So let's start the program and see what happens. Well, actually, let's not do that yet. Let's do that in a moment. You can see the counter moving over there. If that's too quick for you, you can change the speed of the program down here. Well, not really down here. That just shows it. You cannot click this for some reason. This should be clickable, really. But you can use F1, F2, and F3 to change the speed. F1 is step-by-step mode, so you have to press F1 repeatedly to make the program step through every single step. And as you can see here, if we make the counter go to the exit, it will paint the first pixel, the pixel with the ID 0, white because the counter has the value 0 and is white. Okay, so that's about moving. Well, moving is not enough, obviously. We have to change the value of the pixel of the counter as well, because we want to paint all those pixels and not only the first pixel. So for that, we have different blocks down here. At the beginning, there are only a few of them available. We only need this one, which is the add block or the adder. It increases the value of a pixel, so we can place it down by holding W and pressing left click, and this will place the adder. And whenever a counter leaves this block, it will get the value in the center of the block, which we can change by pressing number keys, added to, well, it will increase its value by the number the adder has in store. So if we start a program and we step through it, it increases the counter by 4. If we change that number to not 41, maybe, to 1, then it will increase the value by 1. Okay, so there's one more thing you need to solve this level, because right now we can only draw or only paint 1 pixel, which is not enough, obviously. We have to paint 640 of them. So we need more counters. Luckily enough, there's a different different type of arrows. There's a purple arrow. You can place the purple arrow by using the 5 key, the number 5 on your keyboard, and it creates a purple arrow. And the purple arrow will clone the counter. So if we start a program, you can see that as soon as the counter enters that slot or that tile, it will create another counter with the same value and the same color sitting there. Okay, so with that in mind, feel free to pause the video and think about how you would solve this, because I don't really want to spoil it for you, because it's actually very interesting and it was very fun to me and very rewarding to figure this out myself. So feel free to pause the video right now, try to figure it out yourself with only the tools available, white arrows, purple arrows, and the counter, and try to figure out how would you fill the whole output screen with white pixels. Okay, so now I'm going to show you. So I hope you paused the video already and solved it yourself if you wanted to. So you do so by putting the counter over here, adding a 1 to it, and then circling around the counter. So if we press F1 now, it creates a clone, and the clone will go around and create another clone, which has the value 2, which then creates another clone with the value 3, and so on, and that will actually fill the whole screen with white pixels. That's not optimal yet though. We can make it a little simpler but it's a little harder to see what's going on, which is why I chose this first version. But you can make it a little simpler but harder to understand what's going on by putting a white arrow here, and if you step through it now, it looks a little weird, but it basically does the same thing. So it creates a counter, a clone on the adder, and the clone goes over to the right slot again and creates another clone, and then moves on downwards, and that's how you solve the first puzzle in this game. And that's the core mechanic. Okay, obviously there are way more blocks down there with way more mechanics, so let me show you a few more levels. I'm not going to solve them, I'm just going to show you the mechanics and what to do. So in this level, the input again is not important. You only have to look at the output, which consists of multiple multiple columns of different colors, and you have to recreate that. Luckily, you got two more blocks, the subtract or the minus block, which you don't really need, I think. More importantly, the printer block, which is this one. You can place it by pressing U, and you can color it by pressing 2, 3, or 4, or 1 to give it different colors. And whenever a counter enters the printer, it will change the color of the counter. So we can do something like this, and as you can see, it creates a blue counter. If you step through it, there we go, it becomes blue. And now you have to figure out how to create multiple counters of different colors and get them to the exit in the right order, which is kind of tricky to do. This level took me a while. It's the second level, keep that in mind, that's the second level of the game, and it took me a long time to figure this out. And that holds true for most of the other levels as well. The game is really, really, really hard, but it's very, very engaging, very rewarding, and I think it's not unfair. I didn't hit a break wall yet. So the next level is about, it's the first level where the input is actually important, because in this level you have to change the hue of the input picture. So you have to make every red pixel cyan, every cyan pixel blue, and every blue pixel red, and you have to keep the white pixels white. So you have to color the whole screen again, but depending on the input screen. And for that you have a new tool, or actually two new tools. You have the printer, or the special printer, which prints depending on the input screen. I'm going to explain that in a moment. And you have the sensor. So we start with the printer, I think, with the input printer. So the input printer, it paints the counter that enters it with a specific color, and the color depends on the value of the counter and the input screen. So if the counter has, for example, the value 0, it will take a look at the input screen, take the pixel 0, which is the pixel in the upper left, take that color and paint the pixel with that color, which is red in this case. So if we step forward, it becomes a red counter. If it would have a different value, because we have an adder here with a 4, for example, then it becomes cyan, because the pixel number 4 is cyan. And based on that logic, you have to solve this puzzle. Well, actually, you have one more important tool available, which is the color sensor. The color sensor is it's not actually a complicated thing. Like, it doesn't have a complicated mechanic, but it's kind of hard to explain for me. So, well, let's explain it the other way around, maybe. So there are different arrows. The white arrows and the purple arrows are the ones you know already, but there are also red arrows, blue arrows, and cyan arrows. And those will only be active when a sensor of that color is triggered. So let's say we have a sensor over here, and we do something like this, and a printer over here. And this sensor right now, it will not detect any counters whatsoever, but because you have to activate it for certain colors first. So now it will detect red and blue counters, but not cyan ones. So let's say we make this blue, maybe. Okay, so now we start a program, and it moves a blue counter on the blue sensor, and this will activate all the blue arrows. So the blue arrow means a counter on this tile will follow the blue arrow if any blue sensor is activated, or if any blue sensor is detecting a blue block a counter. So in this case, the counter moves to the right because the blue arrow was the blue sensor was activated. If this would be cyan, you would think it would be activated, but keep in mind the sensor is actually not detecting cyan, so it will not activate for that reason. And the same is true for red, because while the sensor detects red, there's no red arrow here, so doesn't really matter, and the counter just stays in that place. So that's how the sensor works. And with those tools, you have to change the hue of the input picture, and it will not only use this picture. After you solve this picture, it will put in multiple tests with different pictures, and it has to work for all of them, so you have to write a generic algorithm. And this one was pretty tricky as well to get right. So yeah, you have to create multiple counters depending on with colors depending on the input, and then get them to the output, which is kind of tricky to do, but very rewarding if you solve it yourself. Okay, let's go to the next one. In the rotation module, you have to rotate the input picture. Yay! And you get, I think, 3 more tools actually. You get the null thingy. So this erases the value of a counter. Unfortunately, those buttons don't have tooltips, which is very, very unfortunate. You can go to the help menu over here and scroll down and read about all the different arrow types and all the different blocks. And as you can see, this one is the negator. It resets the counter's value to 0. And then we have the inverter over here, which it negates the value. So if we have the counter has a value of 5, it makes it to -5. And then you have this tool over here, which is synchronizer. Basically, it allows you to sync up multiple blocks. So blocks will wait on the synchronizer until another block hits another synchronizer. And that's important if you want to have blocks reach the same tile at the same time, because that's a thing I didn't mention yet. You can combine counters to, well, mix them. It will mix the values. So if you have one counter is at 10 and the other is at -5, the result will be 5. And it will also mix the colors depending on a certain formula. I think it shows it down here somewhere. There we go. If you put 2 of the same color in, it will result in the same color. If you put 2 different colors in, it will result in gray or black. And if you put in white and a color, it will take the color of white. So basically, white is transparent. Mixing 2 colors becomes black or gray. And well, 2 of the same color is the same color, obviously. So that allows you to, well, rotate this picture. And that was pretty fun to do as well. Yeah. That's the levels I solved so far, which unlock 2 more. So let me show you those as well. This one seems pretty tricky, especially like you can't see the description up here, but the description of the level is behind the webcam. Basically, the rules for the levels are written down there, and it took me a while until I understood what this actually meant. What you're supposed to do here is to find pixels that break the pattern. So the pattern is that on every red pixel follows a blue one, on every blue pixel follows a cyan one, and every cyan one follows a red one. And you have to find pixels where that is not true. And the ones where this is not true, for example, this blue pixel is not followed by a cyan one and instead by a red one, creates a red pixel in the output screen, while all the pixels where this rule is true will create a white pixel. I have an idea how to approach this, but I didn't try it yet, because this seems pretty complicated to do, actually. There are probably multiple ways of solving all the levels, and you can be creative, and well, you can try to find the optimal solutions, because there are scoring, or scores as well, 2 scores to be precise. There's a cycle score, which counts how many cycles it took for your program to finish, and how many objects were used. I think with object it means the number of counters you had plus all the parts on the screen or on the board. And yeah, so, I think this one is the second row. Yeah, this is the first row, so those are the scores for the first row, those are the scores for the second row. They're identical because I used the same solution. I don't think there might be another solution for this level already, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure for this one there will be more than one solution, and that's probably true for all the other levels as well. Let's take a look at this one as well. That one is a little bit more straightforward, I think. Basically, you have to fill in the gaps. You have to fill in all the black pixels with the color you used before that, as you can see here. That seems fairly simple to do. I have a good idea on how to do that. Anyway, you can see there are more blocks down here which are not unlocked yet, which have even more functionality, and you can do even more things with that. And there are also way more levels than this, which will probably be even more difficult than the first 2 ones. And that's pretty cool. So I really, if you couldn't tell yet, I really like the core gameplay. I have some issues, mostly with the controls and the interface. So first of all, I want this to be clickable. That would be great. Also, it would be nice, you can drag and drop those blocks up here. and you can destroy them with right click, but it would be nicer to just being able to select them. Well, additionally, dragging is fine, but additionally I would like to select them. So either by clicking on the block or by pressing W, it would be nice to select this block, and when I press left click afterwards, it just creates that block. Instead, I have to hold W and then left click. That's fucking inintuitive and inconvenient as well. It's way too many buttons and clicks and stuff. So that would be nice. And also, obviously, having tooltips on those things would go a long way, because this help menu is pretty annoying to navigate as well. Like, you cannot drag and drop it, which makes you have to scroll down very slowly, or you can use those arrows, which are inconveniently placed, and it also seem to have a graphical bug if you take a look at the mouse cursor there. That's interesting. So yeah, the interface could need some work, definitely. But the core gameplay, the puzzles are a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. It's really cool. I didn't mention those yet. This one destroys a counter, and this one creates a breakpoint in the program, so you can just keep the program running until a block enters this block, which is good for debugging, obviously. So yeah, I think that's it. There are 3 slots for solutions on every level. The developer said that the game is feature complete, and it will, if it goes through Greenlight, it will enter Steam Early Access in March or late February potentially, if it's quick, if it's going through quick, and he will use that to improve, well, probably the interface and stuff like that, debug the game, like we saw, get some bugs fixed, adjust the difficulty curve a little bit and stuff like that. And also he's gonna try, but he cannot make any promises on that, he's gonna try to implement graphs for the scores, similar to how Zectronics do their scoring system. So graphs which show you how good you did, or how good your solution performs in comparison to the solutions of all the other people who played the game. So that's cool. The option menu is also fairly lacking. You only have a window mode and a full screen mode. No proper resolution options. So you cannot change the resolution in full screen, it will just go to your native resolution. And the window mode, well, you have a completely readjustable window. We cannot set it to a specific resolution, but that might not be necessary anyway. Having a borderless window mode and resolution option for full screen would be nice. Also, volume is just like an up and a down arrow. I guess that works. It's not too bad. Like, the game doesn't need a complex options menu, obviously, but yeah. Anyway, could be nicer, as always. There's always potential for a better option menu. So, yeah. It's called Mind Machine Interface. I enjoyed quite a bit. It's tough as nails, and it's on Steam Greenlight, and there's a free demo available. So go on the Steam Greenlight page, or go to the link below. I link it below. Go to the demo, play the demo, and if you like it, vote up the game on Greenlight. I'm TH Pine. Thanks a lot for watching. Have fun, and see you next time.